Online League Series number 14 is upon us and has passed this past weekend, and I was lucky enough to be able to cast day 1 with Boulevard as per usual, and day 2 with Castman. So good stuff, being able to finally get a cast under my belt with Castman. It was an awesome time, had a blast, and as always, everybody, thank you for coming along in chat to chill, hang out, and watch some awesome Legends of Runeterra competitive action. But with that said, let's go ahead and get started with round 3. Actually, we get started a little bit late because of the EU Masters tournament that was running just prior to the OLS starting. So we did jump in kind of in round 2, but things got a little weird, so we started with round 3. That's what we're going to start with right now. And to start off, we have a banger in Void from Team OTK versus none other than Random7. And wow, this was a great way to start off the day. And honestly, all these games, every single game you guys are going to see in this tournament is pretty fire, especially the top cut. Cannot wait to show you guys the quarterfinals game. Wow, my brain was scrambled for that game. So awesome stuff. But let's go ahead and start with round 3 here. Void versus Random7 for OLS number 14. This is one of the first times I've seen this actually in a tournament. We haven't really gotten to see too many people playing back alley poker. I've seen it somewhat on ladder, but even then, for as much as I hear people talk about it, it doesn't seem like a whole lot of people are actually playing the deck.
Yeah, I know for my tier list in week 1, I had put it down really low because the builds were unoptimized, and everybody knew the builds were unoptimized, so I didn't think it was going to be played a lot in tournaments or have a lot of success. This week, I feel like people definitely feel a lot better about the builds that they have for the deck. I think there's still a couple of slots that are being tweaked, but for the most part, 95% of this deck is locked in. That's the part where you really want to start to bring it out to a tournament and start to experiment with those last couple of slots, over a couple of weeks, because as cool as the grassroots scene is, and as much as we talk about the seasonal tournaments, your placement in these tournaments doesn't impact the seasonal event. So you can kind of use these as a practice run leading up into the seasonal and talk about, hey, let me at least get some tournament experience on the deck, figure out, this is the meta that I might see. These are the, the cards that aren't performing well, and just kind of use these as a trial for that big prize pot coming up in December.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think that's what a lot of these players are thinking about when, I know that's what Cephalopod's thinking about when he does every single tournament under the sun. How much tournament prep can you possibly squeeze in?
Cephalopod is a Legends of Runeterra tournament robot, and that's why he has LOR in his name and why he's not just Cephalopod. So I don't know if he feels.
Does he feel? Oh, man. So this matchup in particular, right? I actually, in all of the times that I have played, because I actually played a lot of my platinum up to diamond games. I made my way to diamond almost entirely with back alley poker, and I gotta say I didn't really face too many deep decks, if any, to be honest with you. I can't recall a deep matchup, so I'm trying to think of later on in the game. There's no way that Void wins quickly. Back alley poker doesn't necessarily win quickly unless you can aggro down your opponent somehow with a really wide skimpy board early on, which is rare. But my concern is, do the pack your bags actually do enough against these big deep monsters? Because I don't know if he'll be able to get 2 in a row to actually full clear a big deep board.
So this is something I wanted to talk about. A lot of deep decks that we've seen recently have gone a lot more alongside the greedy route, and not even just in the way that they build the deck, but in the way they play as well. And a Twisted Fate win condition, it suddenly feels a lot more on the board. And here we're not going to see random fire off the Vengeance. So if we do get a pick a card out of Void, and mind you, there is one pick a card in the main deck of Void alongside the Twisted Fates, then that is just going to be a leveled TF instead. Get Glimpse Beyond now onto this Doom Beast, looking for another copy of Go Hard. You want to take out that Jaw Hunters, and now TF really threatening that level up on the following turn. All we need is one draw. It would have to be salvaged to do it at burst speed, though. And nope, we get the Glimpse Beyond right away. That is going to be a Twisted Fate denied by the Violence. I was like, hold on, no, there's an answer for this, right? Yeah, it does actually stop that one. Void getting really greedy for going for that one, and honestly, that reads to me like he doesn't have a salvage in hand. or a burst speed style of draw. And now he is going to lose this Twisted Fate. No, it's the Vengeance, and that should just get the Vengeance, maybe the Atrocity out of random to kill this TF, because you're going to kill it some way. It's just a matter of, do you think you need the Atrocity for the game-winning potential, or do you just want to throw out your Vengeance? And it looks like he is going to go for the Vengeance, which I like a lot. There's not a lot of threats in the back alley poker deck in terms of units. So when it comes to Vengeance targets, Twisted Fate is kind of the prime one. You know, Gangplank threatens damage, but at the end of the day, there are other ways to remove him.
Yeah, and you could see, so I like what Void did there too. Prioritizing the Twisted Fate level and protecting that Twisted Fate, probably the best thing that you could do in this matchup. There is a salvage now. That must have been top decked, otherwise we would have seen that ripped instead of the Vengeance to at least level the TF. But leveling the TF in this matchup is incredibly important. I mentioned earlier getting off to pack your bags, kind of to clear a full board of deep monsters. And the only way you're really going to be able to do that is getting all that quick draw power out of that TF, or even being able to play a TF wildcard or something like that. So unfortunately, not allowing the TF to stick on the side of random there.
And Void feels like he's grasping at straws at this point, going in for the Elise attack, knowing that there is always the potential for the Jettison to come out, get the Nautilus leveled, get it to block that Elise. Thorny Toad going to block onto the Spiderling. Maokai Wincon is something that I'm still trying to figure out against back alley poker, because in theory, if you have a go hard in your hand, you're never actually going to deck out. But unless you have some kind of consistent draw engine, then all that you're doing every single turn is playing a 1-mana drain one, and then every 4 turns you get to play a pack your bags. And I think it's very reasonable for Deep to win the game if that is the kind of game plan that you're going for on the side of the back alley poker. Now, if you have a leveled Twisted Fate, it's a completely different story. You know, you're getting down that consistent draw power through the blue card. You're hyper accelerating these kinds of plays. But now it feels like Void has gassed himself out by very greedily going for that Twisted Fate level up.
Well, here's the deal. And actually, I was just going to say his deck list, right? So first off, Void is doing the 2 Elise, 1 Gangplank version, which is, I feel like, the more standard version right now. Is running also 2 Ruination. So
this is the end of the game. Because he only plays 1 Vengeance, and it was used on the Jaw Hunters, there's nothing to stop this Atrocity.
Oh, yeah. Wow, there's still mana for Atrocity. Yeah, that's just going to be game. Yeah, and so kind of what I was thinking, I don't think that back alley poker has a great matchup versus Deep. I think that, like, the reason why I was able to make it from Platinum to Diamond is probably because I didn't see a lot of Deep, because it's just not a good matchup.
I think that we both took back alley poker from Plat to Diamond, but I did it pre-patch, so like it was a totally different meta, I feel. You know, this was like back when Scouts was sort of the most popular deck on ladder.
There wasn't a lot of Deep then either, was there?
No, and I still don't see a lot of Deep on ladder, but I know that the deck had a phenomenal Scouts matchup, and then, you know, as things shifted, just as the meta shifts, you know, you run into some other things. Here we are going to see the Mono Targon up against the back alley poker, and this one doesn't have as great a time. What you're really looking for if you're building a deck to beat something like this is, does my board survive pack your bags? And there are a couple of decks that do that. Feel the Rush, Deep, things that play way too many Hearth cards, potentially War Mothers, but it feels like you might as well be playing Feel the Rush instead of War Mothers. So, you know, Anivia has a pretty good shot at doing it, because we're not really seeing Withering Wail out of these back alley decks. So you need to pack your bags to clear out all the Anivias, but then you kind of struggle to actually clean up those Anivias. You need a combo. It's not impossible. You know, you can't get down a red card or something like that, or you can just throw out a couple of pack your or go hards. It looks like I'm stuck on the loading screen.
Yeah, I am already ahead of you reloading it. I forgot that if you just let it queue into the next game, it's going to freeze almost 100% of the time.
It baited me because it kicked us the other times.
Yeah, it's, you know, now it's kind of doing what it wants. So, but we are, don't fret, about to get right back into the game here. Random, where you at? Unless it's going to take a while to load my friends list, because there's always that. Any minute now. We're almost there, I promise. Figures, it has Void up. I might just click Voids. No. Random. Random. We want random. Random. Where you at? You can do it, friends list. And watch, it's gonna load it in like the order in which I added them to my friends list, and random was just added today, so it's gonna be dead last.
You see, I've been friends with Random for quite some time.
I like the anime voice that you did there. That was on point. Come on. All right, I might. Oh no, here we go. Jeez, there we go. All right, back into the game. This is gonna be.
You see, I've already been in the game. My best friend in the world, Random7, added me so long ago that he was the first one to appear on my friends list.
Now I just need you to have like that anime spiky haircut.
I mean, I got the color down, right? I could probably spike it, just like put a rose in my mouth and show up as like the main character in a slice of life anime or something. Actually, I guess I kind of talk like the villain in one of those, right? Like the bully.
Yeah, right.
My father.
Oh man. So this matchup, I gotta say, 9 times out of 10, I probably would give the advantage to Back Alley Poker here. I don't see any reason, is it Back Alley Poker or Back Alley Casino? Back Alley Poker.
I believe Zero called it Back Alley Poker,
okay.
And while he might not be the like sole creator, he is the one that at least popularized it for me and into the mainstream as far as I know. So I'm willing to call it what he called it.
Yeah, I think it was him and Precipic that came up with this, right? Give or take a person or two.
It's always risky business to try and attribute a deck to one person.
Yeah, no, trust me, I feel you. Unless it's a Demacia deck, in which case we could just assume BBG did it, and it's fine.
No, we can assume it was crowd. Oh, I was thinking Bannerman. I'm like, that one was crowdfunded.
That was everybody. No, that was everybody. So
when you log into Runeterra for the first time, it's like, hey, we're making a Demacia deck together. What card do you want to add?
So I do want to mention a couple things. So first off, I want to throw this out there so everybody is very clear on my take on this deck. I played 3 Twist of Fate, 3 Gangplank. I very much prefer that to the Elise. I think the Elise is too low end for the late game. Now, Void, taking a couple different routes here with some other cards. We have 1 Chronicler of Ruin, which you already saw played, which is pretty useful with exactly what we just saw there with the Zap Spray Fin. You get a mana back, you get a spell, drawn, so that's good stuff. And we also are main decking a pick a card. That is, we do not. I don't think I've seen anybody do that yet, and I don't hate it. Draw in this deck is obviously super, super good. So I'm curious to see if when this deck does eventually go off, hopefully it does, it goes hard, so to speak, then we'll be able to see this pick a card in action.
Look, when I'm not sure how to feel about the card name Go Hard, because when I was, as you do, writing my casting rap cover letter, I realized that Boulevard and Go Hard rhyme, and so I actually have like,
oh boy,
probably close to a 2-minute rap at this point written down.
Oh boy.
And maybe that'll eventually see the light of day, but probably not.
Oh god, what have we created?
And now I just get, every time I hear someone say Go Hard, I'm like, crap, they found it. They found my lyrics, but no, it's just a card name. I do want to say, though, I feel like Random would actually be, I'd even be willing to say close to favorite in this matchup if those Dianas were Aurelian Souls. Just something that the Pack Your Bags can't get through. And it looks like we're going to start off with a Pack Your Bags onto the Destroyer.
Yeah. I think this is going to
get that spell shield out of the way.
I think this is going to set up something like a Ruination, or in this case, we're just going to crumble it. Which we might even still have a Ruination in hand, and if we have the ability to play a crumble, we're going to go ahead and take that option 9 times out of 10, especially if we know it's outside of the range of getting killed by something. In this deck on the side of Random, I want to go through this deck list as well. There's this was the one you were talking about that was all 40 Targon cards. Jesus.
Yeah, I think we saw Glop run at least something similar in Fight Night last night. I believe that got him to a 3rd place finish.
Yeah, I know he made it to the losers finals, right?
Yeah.
So, interesting. So I'm curious to see how this will do. I feel like it's not going to put enough pressure onto Void to be able to take a victory, and I think that's where Deep kind of excelled in that first match that we saw, where Deep just completely stomped.
So I've played a lot of this Leona deck, and I will say this Morning Light is not something Void has an answer to.
Ooh,
and if you do go for something like a Ruination after the fact, there should still be enough mana on the side of Random to develop something like an Eclipse Dragon and just push through almost enough damage to kill you.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Boulevard. I feel like we've mentioned this so many other times. Morning Light is right up there with Riptide, man. When you have a Leona in hand and one on the field, it just becomes such a diesel champion spell. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do see it here. We see the level up Leona which means this Morning Light is going to be stunning. Some serious stuff about to come down here.
Yeah, and the pass out of Void does mean, we are going to have to worry about Ruination a little bit.
Yeah.
And playing that one unit first does mean that we don't have mana for the Eclipse Dragon alongside the Leona's Morning Light. So we are just going to go for the open attack, push as much damage as possible. It is only going to be 5. We don't have necessarily any over-the-top damage, but we are going to clean up these smaller units on the side of Void. We are still, I believe, at least 3 go-hards away from packing our bags, and that is a devastating position for Void to be in. I don't think he's going to be able to get a board clear, and even if he does, it's not going to threaten lethal onto Random.
Well, this is a good start. I mean, this will start to cycle a little bit for Void. There's nothing right now that Random can do to go ahead and get rid of the Twisted Fate, unless we do. I mean, next turn we could go with the Diana to go ahead and challenge the TF, but that's about it for now.
So, the Twisted Fate, even if it levels at this point, really isn't that threatening. And the reason is there's 2 Hush on the side of Random. So let's say that I think it's a little unlikely for the Twisted Fate to level on Void's turn, though it's not out of the question. But, when we do get around to Random's turn, assuming he still has some semblance of a board, the first thing he can do for the turn is Hush the Twisted Fate. Ooh. And as long as he's not reliant on a Daybreak effect and didn't lose the Ravoon, that's really not going to represent anything for Void, who probably will have to spend their entire next turn playing enough cards to level this Twisted Fate, or could just level it here with the pick a card.
Yeah. I think this is just about where the game starts to turn around for Void. I'm not going to lie, and I think we're going to get a Pack Your Bags this turn.
Oh, a Go Hard was burned off the top.
That does stink. That might have been the second one, too. I feel like there's probably another in hand, so that feels a little bad. Ooh. This could still be setting up for a Go Hard and a Pack Your Bags. If we do Go Hard on this Dragon here, that does leave the field open to a pretty perfect Pack Your Bags. All right.
Ooh, so, I mean, you could get down a Destroyer here and a Fused Firebrand. The Destroyer will cost, 5 once you lose your board, and then the Firebrand can come down, and then, you just Hush the Twisted Fate, go for the attack with the Destroyer, and, things aren't looking great for Void, who would have to block that with the TF, and then, Pale Cascade should do it. Actually, it's going to have a little bit more. Destroyer is actually going to have 11 attack when it comes down. Yeah, unless Void can push lethal with a Pack Your Bags this turn, which I don't think is possible because this Eclipse Dragon is still poised to survive here.
Yeah, what do we have? So, I don't know. I feel like there's still... Void must have... He must have 2 Go Hards in hand. There's no way Void doesn't have 2 Go Hards by now.
Must he?
Oh, he must.
Must he?
Oh, he must. He must. Here we go. We got 2 mana left. That's exactly what we need here. And we have a wide board of blockers, too. So, the only... I mean, obviously, we get the Overwhelm units, which is going to be an issue, but... I imagine at that point we probably also have a Vengeance in hand by now, or at least a Crumble if something does get developed pre-combat. Ooh.
Yeah, there comes the Destroyer, and there's only 1 Vengeance to the deck of Void. He does have 2 Ruinations, but looks like this does not have it.
Wow.
That is a disaster. And now if you really wanted to, you could Hush and then Leona's Morning Light because you have Ravoon on field. That doesn't necessarily get anything out of the range of the Pack Your Bags. That wouldn't have died to it already, but you are just trying to get this Destroyer up high enough to actually end the game. Yeah, don't even have to go for it. You can just attack with the Destroyer. I don't think there's going to be enough fast speed interaction on the side of Void to actually interact with this because it is just the 1 Vengeance and no other fast spells that interact with the opponent. So this should just be the end of the game for Random.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's actually really weird to me that there is only 1 copy of Vengeance in the deck. I really like, and we mentioned this earlier. Slow speed is such a it's such a drawback to cards. Like, you really underestimate it. That's one of the reasons why I don't think Crumble was going to see a lot of, or I didn't originally think Crumble was going to see a whole lot of play. It's seeing play. It's a decent card. Don't get me wrong.
It's mana efficient.
Yeah, it's very mana efficient, but for reasons like this, like if there were 2 Crumbles or 1 Crumble in the hand of Void there, they were useless. They couldn't do anything because they're not fast speed. All right, and Random taking it there over Void. So, again, everybody, if you're watching, this is your first time here, don't forget to subscribe to the channel because you're going to get the rest of this tournament up over the course of this week. And don't forget to hit that like button on the video if you enjoyed the gameplay as well. But as always, everybody stay healthy, stay positive. I hope shit just works for you. And peace out.